So as you see, I'm traveling. So after I go through all of the checkpoints, I usually just go ahead and identify my gate, because depending on where at the airport the gate is, it determines how much time, how long it takes me to get there. So I need to find out exactly where the gate is first, so I can know what to do next. So when you're planning your trip, right? I'm assuming that you have a passport, and depending on where you're going, you might also require a visa. Those things you get way ahead of time. An important tip about the passport, and I'll say this because I've seen it happen to many persons. There was once a group of us who were going on a school trip overseas, a big group of us, and by the time we were at the airport, one person could not make the trip because her passport was expired, and that was that was very sad. She was not able to make the trip. So guys, ensure when you're planning a trip, before you buy a ticket or anything, check the date on your passport, check the expiry date on your passport. Make sure that you're not planning a trip with an expired passport or an expired visa, whichever one. Make sure that your passport is not expired. And people, another bad thing, you're traveling with your entire family. You're trying to go on a vacation and just one person's passport is expired, especially if it's a child. It's not well for a family trip. Alright, so look at my passport here. My passport is in a case, right? I have passport in a case for several reasons. To protect the passport itself, and also there are other little pockets that come with the passport case. So one of the things that I always keep in my passport case, right? This is my SIM. This is a SIM that I use when I'm overseas. My SIM and my little thing that removes the SIM from the phone. I also keep this in my passport case. I keep like probably $1 or $2 US also somewhere stuck in here, because it may also come in handy. Any little thing that I know that I only use when I'm traveling, I just keep it in a pocket. So passport case, very important. You don't have to have it, but I find it very convenient. It helps with protection from a passport. So some of the tips. I know for now we are basically grounded and nobody not going anywhere much. But for example, if you're going on a simple trip, like probably to the US or so, yeah, you can do that and book that yourself. But if you're traveling across continent or you're traveling different places, I recommend highly getting a travel agent, and I'll have one that I can recommend highly. HR Travel Memories. My girl Andorine did an fabulous job for my friends and I when we were going to Europe in 2019. I mean, girls just on top of things, helped us to get our visas, to make the appointments, helped us when we, at one point, one of the flights cancelled one of our connections, and girl was just there making arrangements. When we were there, she was in touch with us and making sure that we were okay, booked hotels for us and all of that. So, I mean, really excellent job. Really excellent job. So for stuff like that, I recommend highly get a travel agent. For simple trips, my go-to site that I use in order to like compare flights and compare prices is cheapoair.com. Yeah, real good. Okay. I just check in to make sure that I've not missed my boarding. Yeah, man, cheapoair.com is one of the sites that I use when I'm just doing regular travel. Right, so I just use that and I buy my tickets there. I use it to compare prices on airlines to see if I can get straight flights, connecting flights, etc. And then sometimes I don't even bother buying it there, because guess what? There's a little fee. It's not a lot, but there's a little fee on it. So if it's a straight flight, the straight flight is cheaper. I just go to the actual airline site and buy the tickets there. Right? Of course, you have to take your COVID test before you leave. before you enter. Before you enter the US. I know for Canada for sure. I'm sure there are other places you have to take your COVID test. I took my COVID test right at the Sangster International Airport. Yeah, I did it a day before because I didn't want to be in any rush today. But based on how it moved, it can be done the same day, right? So I did my COVID test before. Another thing. So I always try to wear make sure that my clothes is as comfortable as possible. I hope you guys are hearing me because of course I have to be in my mask. I don't really have anybody close to me now, but it's too risky, so I prefer to keep my mask on. For me, comfort is very important when it comes to traveling. So I like to have my clothes, nothing too clingy, nothing that is gonna fall, no strap that's gonna fall off or anything like that. I see people traveling in heels, and I see people traveling short skirts or short or tight clothes. It don't really work for me. So part of the traveling can be very hectic. You can be there for hours because between the checking-in time, the waiting time, the flying time, the time to clear at the next jurisdiction that you enter, it takes a while. So comfort is very, very important for me. So that is a pro travel tip I'd want to give you. Traveling comfort. So even the jeans. So there are jeans that are you have harder jeans and you have softer jeans. So I usually put my very, very softest jeans to wear. These jeans you can sit down in for hours. Very, very soft, very stretchy. As I said, there are persons who actually travel in gym wear, which works fine for them. And I think a part of that reason is because the gym wear is so comfortable. For me, it don't really work because I don't really like to wear gym clothes unless I'm at the gym. But it works for some people, and that's another good way to travel in gym wear or just very comfortable. Shoes are very important also. So I'll just show you my footwear looks like. So for me, I have two particular pairs of shoes that I travel in religiously. So when it comes to the end of the year or when it comes to winter time, these are my half boots that I travel in. I have another one that I travel in when it's summer, but the same rule applies. My shoes have to be very comfortable. I never travel in sandals for the reason you are encountering so many things. You are encountering many persons. You're encountering bags. You're encountering carts. You're encountering escalators, and an exposed toe can be a recipe for disaster because if something falls on the toe that is exposed, it's not going to be that nice and pretty. My shoes have to be worn with socks because there are some jurisdictions when you go through the airport you actually have to remove your shoes. Some places you don't have to do it. When I remove my shoes, I don't want to be on the ground barefooted, so I usually go for shoes that I wear socks with. Another thing why I have to wear comfortable shoes, you don't know when you might have to be running. And I say this, and it's not no joke, because I've had to run on many occasions, right? Because especially, okay, let me give you some instances. You are connecting, and your first flight is late. It has been delayed for whatever reason. By the time you reach to the other airport, right? So yeah, man, I've had to run from one gate to another gate, several gates for several yards or several feet, probably up to a mile, in order to make my next connection. All right, and of course you know that there are some restrictions in terms of what you can carry on the plane. So after 9/11, there's a restriction on the quantity of liquids that you can actually carry onto the plane with you. So nothing over 3 ounces. You can't carry liquids the quantity over 3 ounces. For example, you checked in your bag, and then your carry-on luggage, you have large colognes in it and or waters and stuff. You have to leave it at the security and the security checkpoint. So some people take, they leave customs take away their perfume and stuff when they're leaving and all that. You don't, when you're leaving Jamaica, you don't encounter customs. So the persons who will leave whatever with there is actually the security guard. They're cheaper. It is easier to buy in the airport. Reason being, you come in the airport, when you have the alcohol, you can actually take them on the plane with you because they would have been pre-checked and okay to carry those liquids on the plane. If you can't carry the alcohol through the check-in point to put in your hand luggage. It therefore means that you're going to have to be extra careful and you're going to have to wrap them up very, very well in order to check them in your check bag because you can't carry them through security to take overseas with you.
Please note that public health authorities recommend wearing a mask or face cover and practicing physical distancing. Please remain 6 feet or 2 meters from the nearest person. Thank you.
So it is much easier to just buy the alcohol in the airport itself. Another thing that I have in the last few years of me traveling, I've started to use. I usually travel with a backpack. So this is one that I travel with. My laptop bag also is a backpack. Why? It takes some of the pressure off your hands when you're traveling, and two, you don't want many things. You don't want to be carrying many things in your hand because the likelihood of something being left behind is greater when you have things in your hand and all of that. So I walk with a backpack because for comfort, you have two straps and your two shoulders are helping you to carry the weight instead of just one. For if you have a big handbag, you want your hands to be as free as possible, right? So if you're afraid for the backpack to be on your back that somebody want take something out, you can carry the backpack like this on your chest. That's how I carry my backpack sometimes. But I tell you, backpack easier to move with, easier to maneuver, and as I said, with traveling, what we want is ease of movement. Another pro tip, you see, if you are traveling with a senior person, whether or not, it don't matter if the person can walk. If the person is walking, fine, good, pro to them. But I would advise to get wheelchair assistance. It works. You see, when I travel with my mother, I get through quicker in every area because my mom goes in the wheelchair. Yes, she walks, but most airport involve a lot of walking. So you walk for great distances. So you walk to come to the check-in counter, you walk to come into the gates and everything. So it involves a lot of walking. So if they're elderly, the walking might just be just a little bit too much. So for them it is great that they have wheelchair assistance. But for you traveling with them, guess what? You get through quickly. So everything is expedited for the wheelchair person. The only thing is that, they will stay on the plane for the last to come off, but everything else is expedited. When they're going on the plane, they get to go on first, and of course you're traveling with them, so of course you're going to go with them. If there's a cart or a little trolley to carry them from one end of the airport to another, you're up on that. So guess what? If they can, if you're traveling with somebody elderly, let them travel in the wheelchair. You know, sometimes we pride them now, like they don't want to feel invalid or anything to travel in the wheelchair, but trust me, the wheelchair works for not only the wheelchair person, it works for you also, because you get the advantage of actually going first. Privilege, you're expedited. You're really expedited. If it's through security, you're going through first. So yeah, if you are traveling with them, but them going on the wheelchair. Traveling with children though, that is an additional challenge. The age of the children asks for different things. If you're traveling with a baby, you know you're going to need your stroller. And I'm seeing a lady here now. She has her stroller. Let me just show you what. So she has hers. She has the baby in the stroller, but she also put stuff in the. So she put her rum and stuff in the back of the stroller. So So yeah, can work that way too.
Robert
Alright, so
that's Mr. Robert Beckford.
right, so the baby's gonna need a stroller. For the toddlers, yes, they may be able to walk, but after a while, as I said, the walking is a holy. The walking is a lot, so you're going to need you want the walking stroller for them, right? You just put them in the walking stroller, and that will take some of the stress off you, because you don't want to have to be holding them in your hand, holding your hand luggage plus your personal luggage, and then if you have another child with you, it can get a little bit tricky. Yeah, so they need a walking stroller. A walking stroller is trust me, is very good. And those you put on the plane is not an extra piece or anything. So get the walking stroller. Alright, so when you travel with children, bigger children, because a lot of the time I travel with my nephews. They're not that young, but right now they are 11 and 8. Travel with them, so I would travel with them by myself, since they probably 6 and 3 or 7 and 4 thereabouts. So I travel with them by themselves. Part of the thing is you're going to need to make a note of the number of pieces that you have. You see, number of pieces is very important. So you say, okay, and you have to down to the T. So we're not just talking about suitcases. If it means that you have 2 suitcases plus your carry-on plus a knapsack, you have to remember how many knapsacks are there. Try not to let them have too many things in their hands. So if it's a toy, let them put the toy in the bag when you are moving up and down. Like when you're settled, they can take it off. But don't let them have too much things in their hands, because things will get left behind. So you have a mental note. So in total, among the 3 of us, we have 15 pieces. Yes, so it can happen. We have 15 pieces, and what is helpful also, I make them have responsibility for bags. So I will say, Michael, this one is yours. So you know that every time you look out for this bag. So if we are at the carousel looking for a bag, this one is yours. So you pay attention to that. And they like that kind of responsibility, because it kind of allows them to feel grown when they know that they're in charge of a bag. Pullman bags on wheels are great. Yes, in addition to your knapsack, yes, so you have a little knapsack. Pullman, great, because it can have a little weight, but as long as they can just draw it behind them, and it is not going to be of much pressure on them. Yes, so in terms of luggage for the children, just you have to be very careful. I think is when you're traveling, as I said, there are sometimes layover times. Because remember, there is a stipulation that you check in, like for international flight, you check in like 2 to 3 hours before. I usually get to the airport probably about 2 hours. Depends on where. At some airport you don't run that joke with. In Atlanta especially, you better get there for 3 hours. But that's a whole nother story. So for example, yeah. So when you after you check in, because you need the time just in case things get hectic and you get held up. But when you're waiting on your flight, you will have a lot of downtime. So you're gonna have time when alright, you have been checked in, you found your gate, and you're sitting and you're waiting. What to do in that time? Or you go on the plane, and during the plane time, some people watch TV. Sometimes they don't want to watch TV. I usually books. I usually spend time reading or my audiobook. So if you see, I have my earphones in, and I have an audiobook on my phone that I'm actually reading now. I think it's I'll insert the cover of it to show you what I'm reading. I think it's called 5-Hour Work Week, something like that. Yeah, so that's what I'm reading now. So read something, or if you want, you can. There are usually books in bookstores around the airport. You can just catch up on some reading. Would you to pass some time? You can, yeah. So that is another thing that I do while I am traveling. Not just if the kid.
My take Please do not enter here by gate number 1.
Okay, so they're paging me. I don't know why, but I'm going to go and see what it's up. So they selected me to do an extra screen at the gate. Not sure what that's all about, but yeah. So let's see the gate. All right, no problem.
Excuse me, can you explain what's going on to me?
It's just a random security check.
It's a what?
It's a random check.
A random check?
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing I ain't bring no weed. Because I was planning on bringing weed in and out the country. And I was like, shit, I don't see no dog. I would have
Guys,
been
are you hearing all of that? So, random security check. Well, I knew that from the get-go. I knew that from
Random
outside
security check.
because I think the check-in person had told me that I was selected. So I'm good. But this lady's here cussing. Let's see how this goes. Come, okay. So this should be interesting. I don't think I don't think I've ever done this in Jamaica before. Well, probably, I don't know. I think one time, but you can be selected for whatever checks the airline might have, or whether it's customs, airline, whether it's TSA, whether it's ICE. So I encourage persons to just relax, because the fact is, if you are not carrying anything illegal, if you are not carrying anything that you're not supposed to be carrying, there is nothing that can be done. So I'm going to pause it now because I don't want anything. Sounds simple, but I always have a pen. Always have a pen in my bag. Especially now in COVID, you don't want to be having to fill out documents and you want to be borrowing anybody's pen. Right? So always have pens with me. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. As soon as they get onto United, they give you a little sanitizer wipes thing. Let me just put up my bag now. This is my new routine. When I enter the plane, I actually just wipe down everywhere. So I think, as I told you before, I have the road to myself. Yeah. So these are some of the extra steps that start to take because of COVID. Before, I mean, you would have been cautious, but not so cautious in terms of wiping down seats and everything. But yeah, we're taking this very serious, and so we're not taking any check, because if some of the time could even avoid traveling, we would avoid it, but this is what it is, so we just try to take as much precaution as we have. When I reach into the next jurisdiction, I'll just let you give you an idea of the process. But of course, there are certain areas in the airport that you are not supposed to use your your cameras, so please do not do it. When you're in customs immigration area, those areas are usually no camera zones. Don't put on your camera or hide or be on your phone because you're not supposed to do it, so don't do it. It's not, yeah, you don't want to be in any altercation with an immigration officer, ICE officer, customs officer, anyone of these. So don't do it. So, alright guys, I'm gonna just relax now, and I'll update you if anything happens further. So I've arrived and they're waiting on my bags. See, I've had to put on some additional layer of clothing, so I have my hat on and my scarf and a little jacket because I'm reaching anywhere and I know the place is very cold. So yeah.